Okay, injury prevention. Now, if we just improved and kept on improving, and it was literally just a graph like that, our improvement, we'd never stop. And we'd all be the fastest runner in the world, or we'd all reach our potential and then plateau and then get bored and maybe stop. The stock market doesn't work like that. So if you invest in a stock, it's not just going to go up like this. It's going to go something like this, hopefully, for your finances. It's exactly the same with fitness. It's exactly the same with running fitness or any endurance fitness, where you constantly and consistently need to deposit those easy runs, recovery runs, the sessions, the interval sessions, the long runs, in order for you to get better over time and for you to continually improve with as much progress as possible without any setbacks. And the main setbacks in running are illness and injury. So in terms of illness, for me, when COVID came along and people were wearing masks on flights and that kind of thing, and people were, with the alcohol gel, that made total sense for me, because when I was in peak fitness and traveling to a race, I felt like that. I felt I'd be sat in my airplane seat just thinking, what has that guy got an illness? I'd be hyper aware of everything around me, about touching handles on doors to an unhealthy degree. But then COVID all made sense for me, because obviously if you put 300 people on a plane and they've come from different areas of the world with different bacterias, some are maybe ill, some are not, then of course it makes sense to look after yourself. So just be careful all the time with your in terms of avoiding illness. But the best way you can do that is diet. And including something in your diet, like, I always have diced garlic, 2 cloves of diced garlic, eat that raw after 5 minutes. I'll have ginger, like finely diced ginger in a tea, have lots of ginger, and then lots of vitamin C through citric fruit, oranges, lemons and limes, and just make sure that my immune system is on full power all the time. That's the only thing you can do, because if you start to kind of think about how can you avoid, you're going to make yourself crazy. And I used to be almost crazy when it came to these situations, especially when it gets towards a race, because you've done so much work. You don't want to sacrifice that work by getting ill a couple of days before. And that can happen, especially when you're on the limit. And what I mean by on the limit is you're super fit, your body fat is probably super low, you're in the fittest condition you've ever been, and you're also tapering, so your mind is wondering, because it's not got access in the same way that it does to its drug, it's running, and then all of a sudden things can go off the track. And you see it all the time. People post on social media constantly why they've not achieved what they set out to achieve. They tell you that they got sick a few days ago, that they've not been feeling right, and all these different things. Don't be that person. So just take care of your immune system and put yourself in the best possible situation to fight off an infection if it was to come. That's illness. In terms of injury, you need to get to know your body really well. And what I mean by that is, over time, if you get into running and you start to run, then you'll know what a hard day feels like, and you'll know what an easy day feels like. And you need to be honest with yourself in terms of, you need to be doing the recovery runs and easy runs super easy, so that you feel fresh to hit the interval session, and you hit the long run harder, so that you get the super compensation from that. And because you get the super compensation from those harder and longer sessions, you want to do more of them. So naturally, we think when we get into running, or we re-get into running, or whatever it is, naturally we think that more is better, when it's absolutely not. There's a level where you can optimize the amount of training that you're doing, and the type of training that you're doing, and the strategy and the structure for the week, that can be optimized so that you can go forward as far as you possibly can, and as consistently as you possibly can, so you're not having any setbacks, you're not getting injured. When you wake up in the morning and you feel like your body is still beaten up, you're still fatigued from the days before, which you need to get used to this, because if you're in, for instance, marathon training, the general consensus will say that you should feel tired for 12 weeks before the marathon, before your taper, and then you freshen up, and then you get ready, and then you run the fastest marathon of your life. That's not how it should be. You should be, most of the week, you should be feeling pretty fresh, because you've hit that interval session hard, you've hit the long run, and you've done what you're supposed to do in the long run, you've stayed on track, you've stayed to the plan, but the easy and recovery runs, quite easy days, ready to freshen up your legs, so you shouldn't be fatigued all the time. So then you need to get to know what over fatigue feels like, when you're too fatigued, and then you go out. And what I like to do is, if I'm going out for a recovery run or an easy run, I still feel beat up from an interval session that I did 1, 2, 3 days ago, I like to walk for the first 500 meters and just check out my body. Like, how am I feeling? How are my Achilles? How are my calves? How are my hamstrings? Are my glutes engaging? Are the big power muscles there, or are they still fatigued from the days before? Usually it's not on the heart and lungs. It's not on the heart and lungs that you feel it. It's on the muscles, it's on the vessel, it's on the body. So how does your body actually feel? Because that's what's going to get injured. You're not going to injure your heart or lungs, hopefully, but it's likely that you're not going to injure your heart and lungs. It's going to be an injury from a small muscle or a hamstring or a glute or something like that, that just puts you back and sets you back for 1, 2 or more weeks. You don't want those. You don't want those setbacks for two main reasons. It's going to set you back, so it's going to kind of take you away from your plan and what you're doing. And also psychologically, it's going to give you a bad relationship with what you are falling in love with, running, and the process of improving. You don't want that. So if I was to say the perfect athlete, and you could talk about the Kenyans and Ethiopians, they'll do exactly the same. What makes them great is they know when to go hard. They know when they're fresh enough to go hard on the interval session. They know when they're fresh enough to go long on the long run. They don't just follow the schedule. They know that today, maybe they should put it back a day. And they have the discipline to wake up and realize today's not the interval session today, or to even get into that interval session and call it a day and say, give it 2 or 3 more days and then we'll go again. We'll try that session again. They've got the ability to course correct on that training plan. You don't need to pull something off the internet, a training plan off the internet, and then follow it rigidly, and that's your discipline. That wouldn't be the art of coaching. It wouldn't be the art of coaching yourself. The art of coaching yourself is knowing when to back off. Equally, the art of coaching yourself and kind of optimally getting what you can out of your body in order to run as fast as you can on race day is knowing when you can do an extra couple of intervals. Knowing when you're not hitting it, you're not getting into the heart rate and the effort levels that you really should be for those specific intervals. Knowing that you can push it a little bit more in a long run, but not too much. So you kind of get to know your body, you get to know your heart rate, and you get to know how that feels, your effort levels. So there's a time. The difference in people that consistently move forward, and I made this mistake in my early running career. I have the type of personality that I want to do. I just want to go, and I love training so much that I just want to be out there and training quick. And the hard sessions for me are the most exciting. The interval session is my favorite session of the week. Something like 10 times 5 minutes or 5 times 10 minutes. I look forward to it so much, like tasting blood up on the mountain. I look forward to it almost too much because I want to do it. But over years, and from making my own mistakes and learning from my own mistakes, you realize that although you love that, just wait for it to come to you. So wait for the training to come for you. Exactly the same with the long run. I love being out there for 2-3 hours. I love it. But if I do it too often, my body's going to break down and I'm not going to get the same level of compensation, super compensation from the long run, and equally from the interval session. If I do it too often, it's going to go back into the gray zone. So you want your easy runs and recovery runs to be down here, so you're freshening up, your body feels good, you're freshening up, getting ready, and then you're hitting that interval session hard. Then you're able to go long in the long run and hit that at the right effort level, the right pace for you, but be recovering. When you look at the best athletes in the world in any sport, they are the best recoverers. And they are the best people, they are the best at not getting ill and not getting injured, because they take that part as serious as the rest of the jigsaw puzzle. It's the most important part, because if you keep moving forward, let's say you move forward 1% every week, but every 4 to 6 weeks you get injured or you get ill and therefore you're coming back a few percent, that path to where you want to go, to where you're aiming at, is so much difficult. It's going to take you so much longer to get there rather than just being consistent. And that's the story of the rabbit and the tortoise, It's exactly that, because it's going to be, you cannot chase fitness. It's got to come to you. So as the person who's consistent, putting it in the right training sessions, gets to know their body really well, and is able to push when they really can, when they're ready for it, when the legs are ready for it, an interval session, a long run day, and who can hold themselves back to go super easy on recovery day, super easy on easy day, and know when they should just go for a walk and let the blood pump through the legs, but it's not even, their body is not even ready to do a recovery run. Once you get to that stage, you are firing on all cylinders, because you're getting to know yourself really well, and then you can catapult.